Okay, so let's get to work. So, number one is creating an object for each of them. So object Mark. So full name property Mark Miller. Then the mass, which is 78 kilograms, and then the height, which is 1.69 meters. So that's it for now. And now I'm just gonna copy this. As always, I'm a bit lazy, and that's just how programmers are, I guess. So John Smith, and he is 92 kilos and 195 meters tall. Okay, so that is point number one. And now we will create the calc BMI method. And then a function without any parameters, because we will take the data directly from the object, just like we did it with the calc_age method previously. And remember that it says here that we should store the BMI value to a property and also return it from the method. So this means that we will do this dot BMI and then do the calculation here. And remember, from the formula, the BMI is calculated by this dot mass divided by this dot height squared. So exponentiation operator with 2. And then also return it. So this dot BMI. And just to see if this actually works, let's actually call this method. So mark.calc BMI. And now I will quickly log to the console the property that we just created. So I could have logged this to the console directly, but I want to do it this way now, and it doesn't really matter. So with this, remember, we created a property called BMI. And so that is now, of course, accessible here. So mark.bmi, because remember that here in this method, this now points to Mark, because that is the object that is calling the method. And therefore, this .bmi will be on Mark. So mark.bmi equals mark.mass divided by mark.height. And so that's how we get this data into this method. All right, so that's essentially what we learned in the last lecture. And so here I'm doing the same. I'm first calculating this value, and then I'm doing mark.bmi, which was added here in this method call. Of course, without this method call, mark.bmi would not be available, because this method here doesn't call itself. We need to explicitly call it. Now console, missing the .log. How can that still happen after all these years? Okay, so here we get the BMI of 27, which seems about right. And now, as I said, we will simply go ahead and copy this method exactly the same to this John object, and it will work just the same. Believe me. So let me show that to you. So now we call John.calcBMI. And so now the object calling calcBMI is John. And so now in this method here, this will point to the John object. And so this time, John.bmi will be calculated using John's data of mass and height. Okay? Are you still following that? As always, you can pause the video, analyze the code on your own, or you can always rewind to hear the explanation again. I actually like to do that myself when I watch other online video courses. So I think that's a good tip, maybe. Anyway, so we just calculated the BMI of John here as well. And so now I'm logging both to the console. And so, yeah, this one also looks correct. And so this means that simply copying this method from one place to the other actually makes it work and adapt to the data of each object. Now, having the exact same code in both of these objects kind of violates the don't repeat yourself principle, right? And actually, there is a way in which we can avoid this. And of course, we will learn how at a later point in the course using something called object-oriented programming. But for now, we are still learning the basics and just want to make things work. And of course, have some fun along the way. So this was the hardest part, I believe at least. Now all we have to do is to write this string here. Let me actually copy the example so we have it as a reference down here. Otherwise, I'm going to get a bit lost. So, if mark.bmi is larger than john.bmi, then console.log. So let's get the full name now from the object. So mark.fullname bmi. And now we also need it here in these parentheses. So let's put it there. Mark.bmi is higher than, and now let me just copy it here. So, and again, I'm using Command D to select the next occurrence, and then let's just replace it with John. So Mark's BMI is higher than John's BMI. And now let's grab this again. Else, if John BMI is larger than Mark.BMI, then essentially say the opposite. So here it's going to be John. And again, Command D. And here it's going to be Mark. Okay. So 27 is higher than 24, and that 27 belongs to Mark. And so this seems to be about right, but it's not completely right. So, of course, here it should be lowercase. So BMI, and now I cannot use the Command D because then it will select this one as well. So I'm double clicking on this one, and I hope that you're finding these VS Code tips useful as well. So I'm clicking, or actually I'm double clicking on this one. Then I hold down the Command key, which in your case might be the Control key or maybe the Option key. So I know there are different configurations for this, and it might not even work for you. So please don't ask any question in that case. But for me, I just have to hit Command, and then I can double click on multiple words, and then all of them get selected. So now I have these 4 multiple cursors here again, and I can simply delete all of them and write the one that I'm interested in. So that's the lowercase BMI. And now we get the correct values. And also this conditional logic is correct as well. And so with this, we did actually solve the challenge. And with this, we also finished this introduction to JavaScript objects. And once again, I really want to congratulate you for the progress that you're making here. Great job and really well done. And I really mean it because I know how hard it is to stick to a course like this and to learn a completely new thing that is probably a bit confusing for you at this point still. Just keep in mind that that is absolutely no problem at all. And actually in the next section, I believe, I have a video about how to learn, basically. So about learning how to code. And there's a lot of great tips that I'm sharing there. So once you reach that, make sure to watch it carefully. But now, anyway, I will leave you to review this lecture if you want, or to move on together with me to the next video, where we're now going to start talking about loops.